Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything from comic books to movies and everything in between. My name is Aidan, and I hope that you're doing well today. This is Season 4, Episode 17, and in this episode I want to go into how I would remake the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, if this so there are a couple of different ways that we could go about this. This is either a reboot, and this would have all of the film rights to the characters, or it would be, going back in time and starting in 2008 like the MCU did in the real world, but they still have all of the rights to the characters. But, either way you want to play it, we have the film rights to all of the Marvel Comics characters, and we're just starting from phase 1 and going up until now. So I'd keep the same structure, phases 1 through 4 and 5 and all that, but I'm going to focus on different characters. And this is just going to be movies, no TV shows. I can do a separate one of TV shows if you'd like. Please leave a comment telling me if you'd like to listen to that episode. And while you're commenting, if you're new to this show and want to check out more content like this, please subscribe and share this with your friends if they're interested in this sort of content. And I post this on Spotify.com as well as on YouTube.com. And in the YouTube version, I'll leave a link to my main YouTube channel and my Patreon page and merch store. So if you'd like to support this podcast financially, I'd greatly appreciate that. And I'll also leave a link to my social media profile so you can stay up to date and send me messages. Anyway, with that being said, phase 1 begins with Captain America. And I wrote little blurbs for all of these movies just to give an idea of what I would want these movies to be about. So during the Second World War, Captain America, Bucky, the Human Torch, and the Submariner fight Baron Zemo. And this is Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch from the Golden Age. The next film is The Fantastic Four, where they fight the Mole Man and his monsters. The next movie is The Amazing Spider-Man, where he fights the Chameleon. Then we get The Incredible Hulk, where he fights the Leader. Then we get The Invincible Iron Man, where he fights the Mandarin. And we're going to keep the Mandarin's original ethnicity of being Chinese, but, we're going to tone down the racism. Then we get The Mighty Thor, where he fights Loki. Then we get Ant-Man and the Wasp, where Whirlwind kidnaps the mayor of New York City, and Hank and Janet have to rescue the mayor. Then phase 1, like in the real world, ends with the Avengers, where Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, and the Wasp team up to fight Loki. Phase 2 begins with the Uncanny X-Men, where Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, Beast, and Marvel Girl have to stop the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from attacking the U.S. Congress to prevent them from enacting the mutant registration law. Then we get Fantastic Four number 2, where Doctor Doom sends the FF back in time to collect a magical artifact for him. And like in the comic book, he kidnaps Sue to incentivize, Reed, Ben, and Johnny to, do this quest for him. Then we get The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Kraven the Hunter seeks revenge for his brother Chameleon. Then we get the Incredible Hulk 2, where Zax and Hulk fight in the woods. Then we get the Mighty Thor 2, where Amora the Enchantress, who's in love with Thor, uh, but he isn't in love with her, and that's why she's evil. But she, tries to achieve her goal. And while that's occurring, Donald Blake, who's the human alter ego of Thor, is, developing a relationship with Jane Foster. Then we get Doctor Strange, where the Sorcerer Supreme and Baron Mordo battle in the astral plane. And then we get Daredevil, where he fights the Matador. Then we get Avengers 2, where Cap is resurrected, and Baron Zemo's grandson teams up with the Avengers villains, except for Loki, and form the Masters of Evil. Then we get Phase 3, where we start off with Uncanny X-Men 2, where Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Banshee are sent by Professor X to find the original X-Men, and they fight Krakoa, the island that walks like a man. So this is an adaptation of a giant-sized X-Men #1 from 1974. Then we get Captain America 2, where former Nazi official Johann Schmidt is somehow alive and well, and he's masquerading as the Vice President of the United States. So Captain America has to figure that situation out. Then we get Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, where Hank creates an android to explore a new dimension he discovers called the Microverse, and he and Janet have to fight the despot Karza, who rules the Microverse. And that android's name is Ultron. Then we get the Invincible Iron Man 2, where the Crimson Dynamo, who's a Russian scientist, attacks Stark Industries for improved technology, so he can beef up his suit and help the motherland. Then for Fantastic Four 3, Annihilus, who's the ruler of the Negative Zone, invades the Earth, and this causes Sue to prematurely give birth to her son Franklin, just like in the comics. Then we get the Inhumans, where Black Bolt's brother Maximus the Mad attempts to usurp his throne. And then we get the Amazing Spider-Man 3, where Dr. Octopus holds New York City hostage with a stolen nuclear warhead. Then we get Invincible Iron Man 3, where a weapon of mass destruction is set loose upon the world, called by the Mandarin called Ultimo. Then we get the Mighty Thor 3, where the Wrecking Crew attack Oslo, Norway for precious minerals. Meanwhile, Hela stakes a claim for Thor's soul. Then we get Phase 4, and this begins with Fantastic Four 4, where the Devourer of Worlds has an insatiable hunger and sets his sights on the Earth. Then we get Black Panther, where M'Baku the Man-Ape challenges T'Challa for the throne of Wakanda. Meanwhile, Claw returns in hopes of killing T'Challa himself. Then we get Inhumans 2, where the Kree arrive on Earth, being led by Captain Mar-Vell, and they want to exterminate the humans because they're a failed experiment. Then we get Captain Marvel, where Mar-Vell goes AWOL after helping the Inhumans fight back against the Kree and vows to protect the Earth from his people. So that's a nice little segue from Inhumans 2 into Captain Marvel, and I just thought that was a good idea. Then we get Guardians of the Galaxy, where Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Rocket Raccoon, and Adam Warlock band together to fight evil. Then we get the Avengers 3, where Ant-Man's robot Ultron gains sentience and tries to kill humanity by hijacking the nuclear codes from the US and Russia. And this prompts Hank to quit the team, and Hawkeye and Black Panther join. Then we get the Uncanny X-Men 3, where Scott and Jean get married, but Mr. Sinister wants to use them to create the perfect being. Meanwhile, Sentinels are being created to hunt mutants. Then we get Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, where Hank, having been quit Ant-Man, has a nervous breakdown and becoming Yellow Jacket, and he hits Janet, and she files for divorce. Meanwhile, Egghead tries to kill a college professor who mocked him. Then we get Doctor Strange 2, where Nightmare traps Doctor Strange in his realm, so the good doctor must free himself or risk losing himself. Then we get Daredevil 2, where the Purple Man kidnaps Karen Page, Daredevil's true love, and the hero must save her. Phase 5 begins with The Amazing Spider-Man 4, where the Green Goblin comes to blows with the Kingpin for control of the underworld. Meanwhile, Peter Parker starts dating Gwen Stacy. And at this point, he's in college. Black Panther 2 begins with Killmonger wanting to take advantage of T'Challa being away on an Avengers mission to enact a coup d'etat. Captain America 3 has Steve taking a break from the Avengers to go back to his roots. And this is where he meets and falls in love with Sharon Carter. And they fight the French supervillain Batroc the Leaper. Uncanny X-Men 4 has a human supremacy group kidnap Professor X and demand that he use his powers to identify mutants for them to be killed. And the X-Men must save their mentor. Meanwhile, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants engage with the U.S. Army, which sparks a race war. The Avengers 4 has the Masters of Evil return for revenge, but unwittingly draw Michael Korvac back to Earth, but not his Earth. And then we get Daredevil 3, where the Owl attempts to take over the Kingpin's operations, prompting Fisk to send Bullseye to kill the Owl, and Daredevil getting caught in the crossfire. But yeah, then we get future movies, but I just wanted to do 5 phases. Because even though at the time of recording, Phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe started with the Fantastic Four First Steps, I just wanted to, limit myself to 5 phases because it would be a while if I, did like a 10-phase plan. But yeah, that's how I would remake the MCU, and that is including the rights to all of the Marvel Comics characters. And let me know what you would do if you were put in this position. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the National Timely Action Hour podcast. Once again, my name is Aidan, and I sincerely hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.